Alrighty, friends, welcome back to another History with Tim Reacts to. Today we're going to be covering the song Stormtroopers, but before we get into that, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for following me. If you are not yet subscribed but keep returning to the channel, I really hope I can hear your subscription. We're doing so good. We hit 500 this weekend. I'm so happy. I'm so proud and happy that you guys have given me this. It means a lot. Thank you so much. If you're returning, please like, share, and comment. You know I try my best to respond to all of them. I do work a full-time job, so I do both. Hopefully, like I said, this will become my full-time job. But thank you so much, everyone, for all the support, and let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about Stormtroopers. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, what, like the guys in the white armor that followed Darth Vader around? And then now some of you are thinking, okay, Tim, we know what Stormtroopers are. But for those of you that don't, Stormtroopers were an experimental unit during World War I by the German Empire that became mainstream. Now, they were predecessed by the Jaeger Corps, which were light infantry, and pioneers, who those are the guys that, you know, would build the trenches and hold positions, sometimes plant explosives. The Stormtroopers were kind of a mix of both, but they also were trained to hold the positions. Now, Stormtroopers, you know, Star Wars has definitely taken over the word. And also, when we think of Stormtroopers in Star Wars, we relate them more to the images of World War II, to the Nazis. In the song, it actually mentions how the Stormtroopers kind of were the beginning of, not exactly the Nazis, but the way the Germans fought in World War II. It's that idea of lightning warfare, blitzkrieg. So, in the song, it's actually going to mention that. But just so we're going to be covering all of that in the song. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the content. Let's get into it. Alright, friends, welcome. So, as always, we're going to go to my buddy ASCotters. Love his things. He's always makes great edits with all these different World War I movies. That's what we're going to be doing. Sabaton actually does have an animated version of the song, which is actually kind of cool to see. I'm going to put the link of it in with the lyric video as well. It's actually a really cool video. But so this is Stormtroopers. So just to get you an idea, Stormtroopers, like I said, they were mainly used to do breakthroughs and try to start pushing the enemy out. Not really so much more for just general combat. They were more those shock troops that needed to go in and deal with the enemy. So here we go.
There's no time to mourn. A glimpse of the future, and blitzkrieg is born. Strike at 0 hour with overwhelming firepower. They're fueled by the fear in their enemy's eyes. It's a shock troop infiltration, a fast and violent escalation. Out of the trenches, the Stormtroopers rise.
Yeah, so, you know, stalemate in the war. It's all been done before. It's true that, you know, I bring this up a lot, especially when we talk about World War I, but we consider the American Civil War the first modern war. That's the first time you're seeing mechanization, you know, Gatling guns, things like that, rail guns, things, you know, very serious things. You know, there were rail mortars used at the Siege of Petersburg and everything. But when World War I breaks out, we're using these modern weapons, these bolt-action rifles, these machine guns and everything, but we're using them, we're fighting in the same way. So both sides are kind of just like, you know, going back and forth with each other. And, you know, the Stormtroopers were the German solution. They were like, let's get these guys who can just storm in, knock out what's in the trenches long enough that our support can come up and take the trenches and then, you know, keep moving. But, of course, you know, the French and English would follow by making their own assault troops. But this was like their way of doing it. And we hear that the Blitzkrieg is born. This is what Blitzkrieg was. This was what lightning warfare. This is what Guderian and Rundstedt and all those guys in World War II learned from. That idea, if you strike hard and strike quick, as long as you have the supplies and the petro and the men to do it, and you can encircle. They were showing you that map of the French breakthrough that the Germans did in 1940. That's exactly what they did. They just kept striking, and that's exactly what the Stormtroopers' etiquette was. It was to hit hard and go quick.
Exposing the cracks, new combat ideals from the Kaiserschlagsfields. Strike at 0 hour with overwhelming firepower. They're fueled by the fear in their enemy's eyes. It's a shock troop infiltration, a massive violent escalation. Out of the trenches, the Stormtroopers rise.
Now that showed a clip from the Kingsman movie, which it's true. What would happen sometimes is when assault troops, British assault or French assault, and stormtroopers would meet in the night, if one side or the other found out there were soldiers ahead of their trenches, both sides are going to light up. So sometimes what you do is you would just hand-to-hand combat, and it was brutal. You had guys who, they fashioned things like that. I remember when I saw that movie, one of my friends were like, oh, they didn't have things like that. No, they did. They actually would make, like, iron fists and things like that. And I was thinking, when we were seeing the Germans dousing the trenches with flamethrowers, a few years later at the Geneva Convention, the Germans demanded the shotgun be banned by war, because what we would do as Americans when we came to fight, it was called the trench gun. We would come and we would just shoot into the trench with the shotgun because you're going to hit something, and the Germans said it was inhumane. A little bit of a double standard with the flamethrower because it's pretty much the same process. But yeah, it's you got to think about the mentality of a stormtrooper. How scary! First of all, how scary that job had to be. You were the advance. You were the vanguard, pretty much, of any trench attack that was going to happen. And there's a very strong possibility you might not be making it out. But also, you have to be 10 times more violent than the guys coming in after you. And they're going to be pretty violent. So, you have to put that fear into the enemy that hopefully by the time the rest of the army shows up, or the rest of the regiment or whatever is coming, you've already scared them off.
Escalation. Out of the trenches, the stormtroopers rise.
So that's Stormtroopers by Sabaton. You know, World War I's always an interesting war to talk about because, you know, as much as we always do this conversation that, you know, we're the good guys because we won because, you know, the American, British, French were all on one side, so we're the good guys. You know, what really caused the war was the Austrians and Serbians. So this was really just this guy hit this guy hit this guy, we hit this guy, then this guy hit this guy. So it's interesting, and that's why I like Sabaton, because they take the other perspective. You know, I just did Lost Battalion, which obviously, you know, it's very rare Sabaton does any songs about Americans, which they actually do have quite a few. You know, A Second All the Way, Screaming Eagles, a lot of World War II songs, To Hell and Back, which that's one I do want to do. That's about Audie Murphy. Very sad story, but very inspiring story. But it's always cool to see the perspective of the other side of the war, so to speak, if you get my drift. All right, friends. So that is Stormtroopers by Sabaton. Again, I was walking into work today and it came on my phone. And I was like, oh, you know, maybe I'll do this today. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. I hope you enjoyed the content. Again, if you're returning and you enjoy the content, please subscribe. If you are subscribed or if you just want to leave me a comment, feel free to. I try to respond as much as I can. Again, please be appropriate. I hate leaving really inappropriate comments. I don't like being that person. I've never been a person to be like, oh, I don't want to hear it. Just be polite, be nice, because I don't want this being a toxic place. Too many history channels already are, and there's no reason for it. Thank you again so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.